Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Coleman. I'm a retired physician and a board-certified addiction medicine specialist, and I have over 40 years experience treating opiate-dependent patients and my own personal recovery for over 40 years. And today we're talking more about how normal brains work, and the third area we're going to talk about is the emotion circuits. So it turns out that after we get a dopamine spike from either natural pleasures like food and sex, or from drugs, messages immediately go to the emotion circuits. We actually have two emotion circuits. The first one is the falling in love circuits. So when we get a dopamine spike with romantic love, we fall in love. Sometimes just seeing the other person gives us a dopamine spike. And the process of falling in love is a beautiful, wonderful thing that's absolutely essential for our survival as a species, and it's extremely strong. We find ourselves thinking about the other person all the time. We start wishing we were with them. We start missing when we're not with them. We start thinking, when can we get back together with them? We start imagining all sorts of incredible qualities that they have, and we sometimes ignore red flags that we're like, well, I don't really care too much about that, even though it's a red flag, because our brain is having these really strong emotions. We'll see how drugs end up doing very similar things. The second emotion circuits are just our regular emotions, and drugs are what we call mood-altering drugs. So they alter our moods. When we use the word emotions, moods, and feelings, we're all really talking about the same thing. It turns out there's hundreds of emotions, hundreds of feelings, but the easiest way to think about it when you're starting off is to think of the four primary emotions, just a little bit like painters who are best off to stick with the primary colors before they start venturing into shades of things. It's easier to think about the four primary emotions, and they all rhyme: mad, sad, glad, and afraid. Well, they almost rhyme, but you get the point. We have these four primary emotions, and all the other emotions are shades of that. So anger and jealousy and are just shades of these other four. So you'll notice that three of those are not pleasant at all. Mad, sad, and afraid are not fun emotions to have. So the question comes up, why do we even have emotions? We have a thinking part of our brain that we'll talk about in the next video, but our emotions are also extremely important too. It turns out that the reason we have emotions is because they give us a feedback, messages about what our behaviors are, so that we can operate optimally, so that we can change things if we need to change them. We can keep doing things if we get the glad emotion, or we can change things if we get the afraid emotion. And we'll talk a lot more about that in future videos, about what to do with emotions, because it turns out that mood-altering drugs alter our moods, and that's one of the biggest reasons why people use drugs, is because they don't like feeling afraid, they don't like feeling mad, they don't like feeling sad, so they take a drug to cover it up. It doesn't change anything, it just sweeps that emotion under the rug. The problem hasn't gone away, so they're not effective, they don't work well, but it's very tempting to take a quick fix. One of the best ways to think about how this works is to think about the check engine light on your car. So the emotions are like the check engine light. The check engine light comes on when something's wrong. And when you see that, you have to use your thinking part of the brain to say, what's going on here? And so you listen and you look and you see, is there smoke coming out of the engine? Is the car rolling normally? Is the speed dropped? Are the dials looking funny? And based on all of that information, you may make a decision to pull over right away because things look really bad, or maybe just keep driving and see if the light goes out by itself. The emotion, in this case the check engine light, doesn't tell you what to do. It just tells you pay attention. Watch out. Something's happening and we may have to make some changes. Emotions do exactly the same thing. So that when we get an emotion, we have to pay attention and decide, do we want to keep doing that, or are we okay to just keep doing what we're doing? So the emotion doesn't tell you what to do, it just tells you something's going on. So if we're being chased in the old days by a tiger, we would have a very strong emotion of fear, of afraid. And so our brain would have to figure out, what do I do here? Do I run up a tree? Do I lay down and pretend I'm dead? Do I turn around and shoot it with a gun? There are so many choices that you can do. The emotion doesn't tell you what to do. It just tells you, pay attention, something's not right, so let's change something. So our emotions are incredibly helpful. And when people use mood altering drugs, they rob themselves of the information to make good decisions. A big part of recovery then is learning to understand emotions, to feel them, understand where they're coming from, why we're having them, so that you can then make the best decision moving forwards.